Yeah. Good morning, all from Toe Chip Compound in Singsong Village, Guadalupe, Cebu City. Mang buntag, mang hapon, mang gabi, no matter where you are in the world. And how is everyone doing today? I'm hoping everything's coming through well. Sound, all that good rock. This, as you can see by the empty chair, Cindy is downstairs. That she'll be joining us in a little bit to see what's going on and kind of diddy bopping in and out throughout. And as she gets here, I'll swap chairs with her until she does get here. I'm going to take the cool chair though. Yesterday I didn't do a live stream, and I am really sorry for that, guys. Tomorrow is going to be a walking live stream. Not entirely sure where from. My original plan was to go to Wilcon, but we'll get to that in a little bit on why that's not going to happen tomorrow. And it seems like every time I try to go to Wilcon, something comes up to where I'm not able to. So I'm beginning to think I'm just not meant to go there. Yesterday, went to Velez Medical Center and had an eye check. That, like I said, I've been having some problems with it. And Tuesday, the doctor was supposed to get back with me and didn't get back with me, and that's why I kept on checking my cell phone every time I got a message. But yes, finally Tuesday afternoon, evening, that they did get with me about 3 o'clock, and we scheduled a visit, but unfortunately for 9 o'clock the next morning yesterday. So that guy kind of got labeled as a priority issue to go get taken care of. It seems I have a fungal infection on the eyelashes at the base right by the eyelid, which is causing some blurriness in the vision periodically, and why it gets better and worse some days. And why the weird discharge and all that good stuff. But I'm actually thinking I may have picked it up in Arizona. Arizona's horrible for that type of stuff. Over the 20 plus years I was doing construction there, I've gotten a couple of weird skin infections, and I actually did get a mold or a fungus on hair in a private region before. And the dermatologist said, yeah, it's welcome to Arizona. But Cindy did he said hot compress. He prescribed some ointment to put on it, and use like Johnson's No More Tears baby shampoo and stuff, and do that for 2 weeks, and it should clear up. If it doesn't clear up after a couple weeks, come back and see him, and we'll work something a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, get it cleared up before I go in and get glasses again. So when I came out here, glasses got really weird and icky and stuff like that. I think it was just too much cleaning on them. And I actually wound up losing them. That I set them down somewhere, and I have no idea where I set them. I think they may be I think they were down in Sunshine when we put Sunshine in the shop, but the mechanic said he didn't find anything like that. So I don't know. Yeah, the doctor's visit to a top name specialist in a private hospital here in the Philippines was 1,050 pesos out of pocket. So ballpark $22, 22, $24, somewhere in there. And the medication, yeah, one of them we got. The other one, eye drops, we went to 4 different pharmacies and weren't able to get it. We asked the manager, whatever here, that the owner is a physician as well, and he suggested the Rose Pharmacy, but he suggested the four pharmacies on Fuentes Circle that I think he said Rose or Mercury was the best stocked pharmacy in the area. That if somebody was likely to have it in stock, it was going to be them. And I told him we actually thought about that, but we were in Sunshine, and that there just was no parking on Fuentes, and he pointed to the bike, and yeah, I had to bring the bike with me. That so as soon as live stream's done, then I'm going to take a trip down to Fuentes and double check out there. But yeah, we went to 4 different pharmacies. We went to a Rose Pharmacy right across the street. We went to I'm starting to count like a Filipino. We went to a Mercury Drugs here close. We went to another local pharmacy down there right across the street from the hospital. We went to a Rose Pharmacy here in Guadalupe. We went to a Mercury Pharmacy here in Guadalupe. We went to a Wilson's, something like that, pharmacy here in Guadalupe. And then in Rose, Zika's or whatever, Mercury, Watson's. And then we went to another Rose in One Pavilion Place, and none of them had it. So, though, the Wilson's, I'm not coming up with a name off the top of my head. They didn't have the specific one, but they had a general one, and that we decided not to go with that at this point. But if absolute worst case, we may talk to a doctor. We may run back up to the pharmacy that he had and get one. And he suggested an eye wash once a week or something like that afterwards, just to help keep them clean. So I may see if I can get an eye cup and start doing eye wash. My grandmother used to do them a lot. And they're not too bad. Anytime I've had to do eye drops, that I've tried to find an eye wash that I can do in place of it. But yeah, the one prescription we did get was like 500 pesos. So it was about $10 for that. But that also included a small bottle of I had a small bottle. I don't know how many milliliter, but it included a Cetaphil, something like that. The antibacterial soap and stuff like that, and a bottle of Dial soap for me for the shower. So that there was some other personal hygiene stuff included in that one. But the Dial was just personal hygiene. The other two were kind of more directly related to this. But yeah, you're talking about $30, including the prescription so far, to go to a top name doctor. And one of the other subscribers, him and I got talking about it yesterday on Facebook, that he just recently had to go, and that it was like $230 something like that dollars to go to an ophthalmologist to get referred to another ophthalmologist that actually dealt with a problem that he had. So yeah, and it's kind of crazy. I am definitely in love with the medical prices here in the Philippines, as opposed to anything in the States. That's just way too expensive for anything over there. But that was kind of the saga on that one. And the most frustrating part in Sydney, between the heat and just the discomfort of travel and such, did get a little grumpy by the end of the pharmacy search. The one in one pavilion, she just stayed in sunshine down in the basement garage, uh, and I think played with her fan and kept a little bit cooler. And I just went up and dealt with them, and yeah, they. Mike Musco, Daniel, how you doing today? Yes, it's the burr months. I got a little frustrated with the people at Rose in one pavilion because I explained to them and I told them, flat out, this is the fifth pharmacy we've been to that doesn't have it. Can you give us any recommendations? And they gave a couple different, well, we don't have it. And then they said, well, try Mercury across the street. Been there, done that. Well, we don't have it. Well, I understand that, but a better start pharmacy? Well, we don't have it. And before I started coming unglued, I just, okay, whatever, and just turned around. And I had to leave. But and that is a horribly frustrating thing with a lot of things here, not just medicine, but being told, well, we're out of stock. Well, where can I get it? Well, we're out of stock. I understand that. Can you recommend someplace that might have it in stock? Well, we're out of stock. I'm gonna spot that. I went to the doctor, Daniel. I went to the eye doctor yesterday, and he said I've got a fungal infection on the eyelashes. That I think I may have picked this up actually in Arizona, and it just got bad here. That Arizona is horrible for a lot of bacterial and fungal infections in the U.S. That because of the stupid dry climate, bacteria and fungus can survive for a long time on something, and once when they come in contact with moisture, just multiply out of insane. And over so many years of working in construction, that I'd actually had a few different skin issues, and there was one other time I did get I'm not sure if it was a fungus or a mold infection in hair in a rather private area. And there were some really minor telltale signs that I may have had an issue back in the States. And I think it just got bad here where it is so stinking humid, and it grew even worse. But there were days I couldn't even see through the lens, the viewfinder on a camera. But he recommended he prescribed a couple different things, and just cleaning it really well is the best way to handle it. So we're going with that for the meantime. And he said if it doesn't clear up in 2 weeks, come back and see them, and that they can try something else. But yeah, I guess they're fairly common here. So and the third pharmacy we went to had one of the two, but not the other. And the other two pharmacies that we tried, for a total of 5 different pharmacies, didn't have the first one we were looking for. So if the ones on Fuentes don't have it, then I'll just go back and go to the 10th floor and go back to his office and get the prescription. And then I'll have a legitimate complaint. You're prescribing things you don't carry. Where can I go get this? But we almost went and got it at that pharmacy, but they only take cash at that pharmacy. And for various reasons, we do like to try and put it on a credit card. They took credit card for the visit, but not for the pharmacy. So I don't, and they're one desk apart. So I don't quite get what is going on. But anyways, the overall it wasn't that bad. Like I say, the visit was $22 or $22 for the visit, and the one prescription plus a couple of soaps. The one Cetaphil specifically for the eye, and then just a general soap, body soap. What was a whole whopping 500 pesos. He actually prescribed two different things, and he's the one that suggested getting some Cetaphil and twice a day, soak the eye, put a hot compress on it for 5 minutes, and then wash it really good, and then put this ointment and eye drops. And so last night we did the ointment, the hot compress, the washed it with a Cetaphil, and he said that if you don't want to do the Cetaphil, you can try the Johnson Johnson's No More Tears, the baby shampoo. And so Cindy had some that she'd gotten for pumpkin, and so we got the Cetaphil. So she tried the Cetaphil warm compress and the ointment last night, and she was saying a lot of stuff came out of that eye last night. This morning, not so much. And she tried the Johnson & Johnson's this morning, and there's still a little bit of cloudiness in it, but it's not as pronounced as it had been the last couple of days. But there again, it kind of came and went, so I knew that it wasn't a like cataract or something like that. And I explained it to my sister, the nurse, and she was saying it sounds like you got an eye infection. You need to go get that checked out pretty quick. So that's what prompted the visit to the ophthalmologist that I got. Our dentist, I noticed she wore glasses, so I got her to recommend it. And it's somebody she knows, and it sent other people too. And I've kind of found that about the medical community here. If you just go stumble into somebody, it's going to be a little hard to get appointments and stuff. If you get a recommendation, especially from somebody in the medical community, it opens more doors for you. But that seems to be pretty true of the Philippines in general. And like I say, back in the 50s, really up until the 70s, really, stuff like that's always been more of a not trying to be gender in whatever. It used to be a Good Old Boys Network. Recognizing there's some other some female people in there too, but it was just it was just a network of people, and it worked a lot better coming from within that network than just trying to come from the outside. Now, I've never really had a problem with dry eyes. Long time ago, I did get those black rubber stretchy cords. One of them slipped off and caught my eye really good. That I think it was the left eye. Caught it, and it cut here. It cut here, and a pretty deep cut here, and it just grazed the eyeball. And I got some. I went to an ophthalmologist, and he gave me some eye drops, antibacterial eye drops, to make sure that they didn't get infected, and to help the cornea heal. And other than that, I've never really had eye problems other than some vision issues as I got older. Good morning, Mr. David. How are you doing today? We were just finishing up discussing some medical issues that I had to deal with yesterday. That fortunately the Cetaphil didn't sting yesterday, but she was just using a cotton bud and cotton ball and just being really careful about it. And would wipe it down, and she got a clean one, wiped everything off, and just kind of messed with it. But and like I say, yesterday, whether it was a difference between the Cetaphil and the Johnson & Johnsons, or just the first time getting a lot of excess crap out of it, because I still feel a little bit of a gunk underneath the eye, but hopefully by the end of a couple of weeks, it'll all be gone. And like I say, that covering this eye, trying to see through it, it's still a little cloudy, but it may clear up in a few days. I never really thought to ask him that, but if it's a fungus, I would imagine, yeah, it can spread. I've never thought about trying to use an antifungal soap for a while. I'm wondering if that may not be a bad idea, because like I say, over the last 20 plus years doing construction, I've gotten a couple of really weird skin infections. They're kind of nasty and disgusting. That's just part of the reason why I don't typically discuss them a whole lot. And they're in private areas where you really don't get to see them. But and the dermatologist I see in Phoenix, just was always, just welcome to Phoenix. It's doing your type of work and stuff like that is, prime to getting these. And most construction workers I knew had varying types and degrees of skin issues. David, no, it is not cataract, and I didn't think it was, although it kind of acted like it in a little bit of a way, and you got that real cloudy vision. But there were days that it'd be really light. There's days it'd be really hard, and there'd be occasional day it was almost completely gone. That and I think that this is our Philippines. I think it actually goes down to living in a petri dish in two different locations. That and for being a desert environment, Arizona has a lot of really weird bacteria, virus, and fungus that can grow quickly. There's some molds that will grow in bathrooms badly, and if you don't keep it clean and dry, then it can get really bad. From so many years of being out in the heavy sun, and my arms getting so burnt that you can see quite a bit of difference. That's something I need to worry about. My ears have got, my hair. That's part of the reason why I wear a hat all the time. My ears have got some stuff that it might be the beginnings of it. Probably should see a dermatologist while I'm here. That's and part that was part of the reason why I didn't really get this stuff checked out too much in the U.S. is that I kind of knew what it was. It wasn't an urgent matter, and even with good medical insurance, the expenses were just so stinking high that it was unrealistic to do so. For a couple guys that have showed up, that I'll say it again, that the visit to Cebu Velez Medical Center, got kind of a higher end private hospital, and going to a high end eye clinic and seeing one of the managing partners for the doctor. the cash, we didn't try to do Phil Health or anything else. We just paid cash. And the cash fee was 1,050 pesos. So about 21 bucks. And it's kind of surprising that the desert climates do carry a lot of that. And most people don't think about it. And the explanation I've got over the years is a lot of the bacteria, a lot of the microscopic critters have gotten so used to such an arid environment that they can go dormant if there's no moisture. But the minute they come in contact with moisture, they multiply like crazy, kind of making up for lost time. And that's part of how they've adapted to live in those environments, is that when they get an opportunity to multiply, they do it insanely fast. The Tucson area, and they periodically have outbreaks of this, that one of those flesh-eating bacteria is endemic to that area. And when the right people come down, when people get into the right little pocket, if you have a referral to a good dermatologist, I'm probably going to wait until after the first of the year to go. But yeah, if you got a referral, definitely, and I will definitely keep that in mind, because as I said, it seems to work better if you have referrals to different people. If you go in and just try to find medical personnel, that it doesn't seem to work terribly well. That I had to find an orthopedic, specifically an orthopedic surgeon for back issue, to deal with my former employer. And I tried going to a clinic. I tried to get a hold of the clinic and couldn't get in. I had someone refer me to somebody in the medical community here refer me to somebody, and immediately got a couple visits, and that was only 500 pesos. I saw him once, that he didn't charge anything, but just said, yeah, that's, give me the records and stuff like that. I'll review them. Give me a week to review them, and we'll set an appointment. And so I dropped off all the records, and the office called back, and we set an appointment, and he never charged for the reviewing, and just charged 500 pesos for the paperwork. I'll definitely take that name. Yeah, I've got a couple ways that I can let them know, or let them believe that I've got a referral. But yeah, that it's like I say, here it definitely seems to be a little bit of a good old boy network as far as trying to get referrals and trying to get into the medical system. Cindy's, the original OBGYN she was seeing, was a referral, and the referral came from Papa's internist, and the internist was a referral from somebody Cindy knew, that their mother and Sabuli used as a person. So, and that seems to be how the medical community here works, is you find somebody that's either in it, or a doctor that's in it, and get the referrals from them more than just calling up and getting information. And okay, now that I understand that, it works a lot better. With a little bit more work, could I have gotten into to see somebody and stuff? Yeah, probably. That and the other thing too is my family has a horrible skin issues, and it seems to run in the family. Uh, my father had real bad skin issues. My oldest brother had bad skin issues. Uh, my youngest brother has not terribly bad skin issues, but he's had, uh, and my father and other brother both had, all three of them have had skin cancer removed from their ears. My father and oldest brother had it removed from their nose. My father had a couple, three different, had several different ones removed. Uh, so yeah, the skin issues seem to run in the family, and all of us have, from the time we were teenagers, have horribly oily skin. Uh, so I'm just kind of looking at that as just a partly family issue, partly occupational issue. My father and oldest brother were both railroad workers that worked outside all of their life. My youngest brother, that's 12 years older than I am, I said youngest, not younger, uh, that he was an office worker for most of his life. In college years, that he worked on the railroad for a while. And then after he graduated, that he went straight into office type work and has been doing that until he finally retired here a couple years ago. Uh, yeah, all five kids are finally retired. My youngest sister, she's 7 years older than I am, that she retired here this year. That she finally hit 62 and qualified. But overall, the medical experience here in the Philippines has been great. Uh, well, which kind of leads us into the next topic I was going to discuss a little bit. The MECQ did get extended. It's going from the 1st to the 7th. And so that doesn't make sense. But somebody else was posting that uh, the IATF extended the ban on flights from the Middle East or from wherever in the Middle East from the 1st to the 5th. They extended it by 5 days. So, is that code for them that they're going to decide to extend it for the rest of the month and are just going, well, if we only do it 5 days at a time or 7 days at a time, that it'll seem a little bit easier. But in all honesty, I haven't noticed a whole lot of difference between before they redid this in August and currently. That there is some difference. Cindy's not able to get into one pavilion in a couple places because of pregnant, whereas before she was. But there again, tomorrow is her birthday. September 3rd is her birthday. And we called up our favorite steakhouse restaurant here in Cebu, and we let them know, that she's pregnant, but all they have is outdoor dining anyhow. That they don't have an indoor restaurant. And so we made an appointment for 11, reservation for 11:30, right after they open for lunch. And we let them know that she's pregnant, and that they said, okay, yeah, that's not a problem. So, yet that Abaca that I went to the other last week, last week I think, or maybe it was Monday. I'm horrible. my memory is really short. That they said no, that they wouldn't seat a pregnant woman even outdoors. So I think some of that comes down to interpretation. And if that's what makes that particular restaurant feel comfortable, I'll work with it. Not a huge deal to me. I'm thinking about running down tomorrow morning and just doing a breakfast outside, and I'll go in and do the order, and not even having her come inside, so that they don't even get to see her and see what see if that goes down. But speaking of someone, look who just showed up. There you go.
Talk to Mama. Hi, everyone. There you go.
Yeah, bring you out of camera. There we go.
He's so cute.
Yes, when she comes in, I give her the good seat. So
Great job.
there we go.
I feel like when I do like that, I cannot move anything. I'm like stuck in the. Okay,
Isn't being pregnant so much fun?
it is fun. Thank you for your Steve.
That's yeah, it's your 35th tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. I stopped counting.
Periodically she complains about being old, but most of our friends back in Phoenix are considerably older. She's actually the second youngest of the group.
I'm the
And,
youngest though.
Karen.
Huh?
Karen.
Oh, in your group.
Well, I'm talking about all the Filipinos we know. That she's the second youngest in the group. And so, yeah, whenever she complains about being old, they tend to remind her what old is.
I'm like twice their age or threefold their age. I like that. 29.
29 with 6 years experience, right?
Good job, John.
That's I try to take this time with as big of a sense of humor as I can, and she's been really good here the last few months about understanding that, and understanding that some days she's just really grumpy and nothing.
Nothing against you.
He noticed your shirt.
My brother loves this. Jude said, Ate, after you get birth, can I have your shirt? And I said, yeah, you can have this. It would be really
Stretched out.
Yeah. He likes this much.
That's have you ever watched Tom and Jerry cartoons?
Several, yeah. I like it.
Okay. I don't know if that was a thing here in the Philippines or not.
I watch it when I babysit mom dresses. So
Oh. That's
I used to be a babysitter when I was in college, remember? I have a lot of jobs.
But here,
Yeah, maid, babysitter, working student, office worker.
but here, even now, you can still genuinely work your way through college.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a cool thing, and part of the reason why we're more than likely going to educate Pumpkin here in lieu of the U.S.
Yeah.
Just the horrible expenses. Now, on the MECQ thing that yesterday, that she was able to come up, and again, we double checked with the doctor in advance, but
Other hospital would not let me alone to get in.
and so I'm thinking that goes down to the individual doctors as well as the hospital policy.
Just in my OB-GYN, you're not allowed. Maybe you're allowed now. Do you want to go with me next week, Wednesday?
Are you going back to the original one or going to
The old one.
Okay, yeah, check out and see.
check out and see.
I'll ask
I'll go
them.
with you at least and sit in the office for waiting room if necessary.
It's good to sit there. You're comfortable compared to the new one, to the OPD.
Yeah,
You will not be comfortable there.
yeah, I can be grumpy by the end of that one.
Because there's no AC and everything.
The
You need some extended email transfer very much.
in Cebu, yeah,
60 plus, yes, 65 plus.
yeah, but Rod gets.
Well, you will not tell your age, of course.
I think that's one of those things that
Guess Papa.
don't ask, don't tell.
Papa keep going outside, and then Papa will just tell, I'm 60. and then the guard said, Tai, how old are you? And then Papa said, I'm 60. And then Papa
Yeah, I kind of taught Papa some bad habits.
You're the one ditching you on that. And I said, don't tell your age, Papa.
And yeah, a lot of times if they ask, if you just tell them, just because of culture that they don't
There you go.
push you on the issue.
Papa doesn't look like 68 or something. He look like 60.
And yeah, bottom line, he doesn't look to be that old. So
Yeah, with the way he walks, he walks so fast.
and for his age, he is rather spry. He can outwalk me any day of the week. Really? That they do ask for ID up there in Cagayan, huh?
Here you go.
That here I've never been challenged.
They will just trust what you said, no?
And it does. It kind of removes him that way. I asked him. He told me. He lied to me. I didn't.
I guess like people just trust easily, you know.
And at least that way, it's kind of like the lockdown going on around here. At least that way, that they can say, yeah, I did go through the motions. I did ask. He told me. I had no reason to disbelieve him, so I let him through.
It's some of the teens too that are 16. They just wear makeup when they go out, so they look like 20.
And yeah, I could definitely see that happening too. I could definitely see that happening too. But it's the lockdown isn't that bad. Like I say, we got reservations to go out tomorrow.
Yeah, you just
And they never said anything, but all of their dining is outside anyhow. I don't think I can order alcohol tomorrow. The one goofy thing that they did do is they banned alcohol sales, period. And now this is a situation too, because in Manila, Papa isn't terribly well known. And so
he's available in the condo, but not outside.
Well, even in the condo, they don't really know him well enough to know how old he actually is.
That's true.
They have to ask.
Yeah.
And depend on him being,
He's so active too.
true enough and honest enough to say, well, yeah, I'm 68. Well, get your butt back in the house. So.
You will not do that. You teach him really well.
And Sabunga, he's well enough known that they don't even need to ask. They know how old he is.
Yeah.
And send him back home.
Company with the police.
Yeah, that actually did happen. That he went basically across the street, and across the street also happens to be right in front of the PNP training headquarters, and a PNP officer that knew the family, that knew him. Come on, you're not supposed to be out. And so he got a police escort back home, but he didn't get a ticket. The guy she got in jail for. You need to go take care of this stuff. You need to take care of your papa. You need to make sure he stays home. So
that was last year when it was super strict.
Yeah, but this incident happened, like you just said, a year ago, right after all this stupidness went down. But But again, it kind of goes to show that because he's so well known in that area, whether or not he'd be able to get out in Sabunga, I kind of doubt it. I think they wouldn't even bother asking. Just like before, that they didn't need to ask because they knew how old he was. But there again, at that point, even here in Cebu and Dumaguete and a few other places that I know some expats that are retirees, that they weren't asked how old they were asked for ID. So they weren't even allowed to fudge numbers. And so this time I've never been asked for ID. But so far I've only been asked once about my age. But I don't think I look
Except for
over
medical.
65.
In the hospitals, no, when you check in, you need to.
Well, going into a medical place, if they're going to ask you your age anyhow, so.
Birthday.
Yeah, I can see him getting that one. And she tried to log me in to the triage person, that they limit who can go into the medical center.
Yeah.
That if you don't have an appointment, you're not getting in. But she tried to log me in advance while I went down and parked, and they wouldn't do that. They had to have my driver's license. And so we were early enough that we sat down and we had some water and you got some chips, and then went up to the office, and I had to show my ID to get in. And did you have to show yours?
Just yours.
Okay.
They just asked my name. That's it.
But I take her word for it, but not mine. Go figure.
You're
But,
the one. They just need your ID because you're the patient.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're only allowed one person to accompany in there, period, correct? In the building even. And this doctor would allow one person to accompany you in the office visit with them.
They said that we didn't ask for you. Yeah. Well, because they need information and it's easier for you to give your driver license because you have your name.
But that was only at the doctor,
Doctor's
whenever we've done doctor's
office.
visits or something like that. As far as trying to get into a mall or something like that for asking age, one time they've asked me my age, and I told them 56, and I just said, okay, come on in. That they never questioned it or asked for verification. So I don't think they're terribly well. I don't think they're putting forth a sincere effort in trying to enforce it. If you tell them you're 56, or if Papa tells them, hey, I'm 60, I think at this point they're just going to take your word for it. They're not going to ask for ID. And we haven't been stopped by PMP this round.
Yeah, for almost a year here, we never been stopped for the PMP. Unless when we got accident.
When we got into an accident, obviously the PMP asked for ID, and
But for
one other
checkpoints and everything, no.
Yeah, one other time I accidentally committed a traffic offense, and the enforcer came over and he asked for ID, registration, all that fun stuff. But other than that, we've never had him ask for ID.
The one time too that because you apologize already, when when we go to Talisay, we're supposed to turn to Mangtao.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was a good traffic enforcer because Gigil, Dudong, and William who drove, they get penalized and got the driver license. He just that line for pedestrian line, like what happened to you, get penalized for 1,000. And I said, good for you because the traffic enforcer, you said next time just don't do it. Remember that?
For one, I have always been that way with police, that they're right, you're wrong, and deal with it later.
You just said pasensya na, and then the traffic enforcer was just kind enough. No?
Actually, I do have a Philippines driver's license.
Yeah.
That it wasn't terribly hard to get. I don't think we ever made a video on it. I know I never used the footage I took because, did you know you were pregnant? I don't think you knew you were
No,
pregnant.
not yet.
And she was having a really bad, grumpy day.
I was, you were just like not, I'm not in a good mood that time. Well, no, the first time, no. The second time, we're both,
You know the one thing I don't see on here?
well,
Issue date.
there is an issue date. Oh yeah, there is no issue date. It's only expiration date.
That
You will look at that. You have your birthday here, so that's why they just can have you remember that they can see your birthday and everything and your address and so.
yeah, we've actually got the address on these as Sabuna, her parents' place. But yeah, I just noticed that on these, they don't have an expiration date. I mean, an issue date.
If they stay longer here, yay.
It,
Where did the
if you're here for any length of time, or here frequently for a month or so, if you're the type that comes to the Philippines for a month or two every year, I'd say yeah, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get one. If you're here more than 3 months, you're actually supposed to get one.
But if it's a month,
But yeah, your uncle said that you're allowed 60 days.
3 months.
Huh?
3 months, 90 days.
You're allowed 90 days? I thought he said 60, but you're allowed 30. You're allowed 60 to 90 days. I thought he said
Depending on
60. She said 90.
90.
But if you're here more than 2 months, more than 60 days, yeah, it'd be a good idea to get one. They're not hard to get. You go down, you submit the paperwork. Okay,
Yeah.
you are right. It's 90 days. That you submit the paperwork and it's not that big of a deal. Oh, good grief! Yeah, and that's running up that area where that hurricane's still winding down. But it actually missed my hometown. Yeah, it's not terribly hard. And it gives you a local ID that you can show people too, and so that's always a good thing. Now, the one issue that a couple people have ran into, oh, I have mine. I've got a gold card, ACR card, that I've got the permanent resident ACR card, and I've heard of people with the non-permanent resident, the visitor's version, the white one, having some severe problems with getting a driver's license. So that's something else to keep in mind. And David, I actually know quite a few people that they have zero interest in driving here. A couple of them actually even own vehicles, and that they have somebody drive them. That they when they come here, they'll get a guy, pay them whatever for the month or so that they're here, or the time that they're here, and it's only a couple $100 a month, and they've got a driver 24/7.
Yeah.
A friend of my sister's up in Subic Bay area. She lives on the old Subic Navy base. that they turned over to private housing, and that she just has somebody that is on call, and she pays them per trip.
I guess we bought sunshine for the reason of like last year because of the pandemic, but it's hard to take. It's more
Well,
expensive.
and we came here with the intent of moving here,
Yeah.
being here permanently, and just being out in the province. And we both looked at being out in the province, to where cabs and stuff like that aren't terribly as common. The trikes don't really fit me, and trying to take a trike for 20-30 minute drive isn't terribly practical. Trying to run into even car just isn't practical. And so because of a practicality thing of, especially when we knew we were going to start out at, and then some of the other things that we're potentially going to develop, we just figured it was way easier. And Steve made comment that the driving here isn't that terribly bad. There's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but it's not terribly bad. And I don't know that I'd put her on a scooter in Cebu City. Outside of Cebu City, I'd have no problem with it.
Yeah, we did a scooter in Moa.
Yeah, Moab Wall or anything like that, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Amazing, yeah.
Even Carter, I don't think I'd have a problem putting you on a scooter.
I tried.
Just not in your current condition.
No, but I'm pregnant.
And the other thing too is, even here in the city, if she wasn't pregnant, and before we found out she was pregnant, I was talking about doing this, is put her on the bike, but do it in the back neighborhoods, and let her get comfortable and me get comfortable on the bike before we tried any of the main roads. And to be bluntly honest, on a scooter, on a bike on Rusi, there's some of these main roads I'm still a little uncomfortable with too. But again, get outside of the city, and it's not bad at all. But I enjoy driving, and I enjoy motorcycling. And I'm backing up a couple comments that Daniel, you were making comment about that some people are saying that getting a license is a waste of time. And in a lot of ways, I can see where people would say that. Because the enforcer or the PMP on the side of the road really doesn't have a whole lot of ability to check how long you've been here. But if anything major ever happens, you can wind up in a world of hurt over it. And I'm one that I try to prepare for the worst case, and that way, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and anything that happens got to be somewhere in between. And so this is one of those minor things that isn't terribly hard to do. It definitely isn't expensive at all. And at this point, if anything, God forbid, that accident was way worse than it was or whatever, I've at least got the correct stuff on my end. So in the end, I'm gonna stick with what I said. If you're here now a month or two a year, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But yeah, I wouldn't worry terribly about it. If you're gonna be here more than the 90 days, it's worth it. It's not that big of a hassle.
Yes.
But
With your Harley Davidson when you reach.
yeah, I used to own a Harley Ultra Classic back in the States, and I signed that over to a friend of mine. There's a long story behind that one, but he gave her a ride on it, and she kind of liked that. Going back, I might look at getting a bike for back there. I kind of doubt it, but that's a possibility. that I enjoy riding motorcycle. I enjoy road trips on bikes. Probably before that you said it's nice to get, Daniel made comment, it's nice to get to the other side of the mountain. Probably before Pumpkin's born, I'm definitely going to take a trip up into the mountains, probably across to the other side. May talk with her about it, may spend a night over there and come back. Before I did that, her parents would have to be back here in Cebu, though, spend a night away. That I haven't done the hobble.
You've done the hobble when we went to mountain.
What? Okay. I'll better qualify that. Good Lord, I am sweating. I guess I need to start wearing a t-shirt here. It's stupid humid today, even for the Philippines.
You need to shower after.
Yes. When we went to Tumalog Falls, that it's a long walk down and a long walk back. Down isn't quite so bad as downhill. Uphill, yeah, that's not such a great idea. And what happens is the rider takes you down, waits there for you, and then goes back up.
Yeah.
And so it also helps them keep track of how many people I got down there that way too. But anyways,
that's my hair.
Somebody's shedding. But that's the only time I've done hobble. Haven't quite worked up the courage to do that here locally. A lot of guys do, and Rod and a few other people have teased me about it, but I've got the bike, so I don't see the sense in doing it. She was a passenger the one time on the Harley back in the States, but I wasn't driving. The friend that I signed the bike over to did. It needed a bunch of maintenance type work. I'll go down that path for a minute. When she showed up, I know it needed some maintenance work, and it had finally expired. The warranties and everything else had finally expired, and it needed enough maintenance work that it was going to be a little pricey. And with her just showing up and everything else, a bunch of projects got put to the back burner to do the visa, because the visa wasn't terribly cheap. And at that point, I wasn't riding it that much anyhow. And then with her getting used to the U.S. and everything else, we just started driving the car, and I just never got back on the bike. And by the time I was ready, and it was right shortly after that I hurt the back, and so didn't want to be seen riding the motorcycle because of the back issue and it being a work issue. And so by the time everything got said and done, the bike had sat about 3.5 years without anything being done to it. And that was my bad for not starting it or doing something to it to better maintain it. And so by the end of it, it just would have been way more work than it was worth to get it up running. And a friend of mine asked about it, and so I told him, fine, if you want to put the work into it versus me doing it and selling it. He gave me a few bucks for it, and I just signed it over to him. David, yes, you can use your scooter. That you can use an international license for 90 days. If you're here over the 90 days, I would really recommend getting it. If you're here over 60, it might be worth looking into. It wasn't so much Cindy didn't like riding on it. I think she basically enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do like it.
But by the time he got it back up and running, and it took him a while and quite a bit of money to get it back up and running. that getting another one just wasn't, borrowing that one, I didn't see happening. And we were basically getting ready to come here. So, like I say, when we go back, would I get another bike? Yeah, there's a chance. I kind of doubt it, but there's a chance. And a lot of that's going to have to come down to what develops after we get back. Now, that's the other thing too. Is Cindy only rode in the neighborhood, really. He didn't take you out on the freeway or anything, did he? So she's never been on the freeway or on back roads going, 80, 90 mile an hour on a bike. I'm not entirely sure how she would handle that. And this is something that her and I have talked about. Okay, you tell a bit about it.
Bye, everyone. John will finish in a few minutes.
Yeah, I noticed it's been about an hour.
Okay.
That's one thing that we did kind of toss around the idea, but like I say, we were getting ready to move anyhow, and so just never went with it. Is several of the dealers in the Phoenix area. Good grief! I definitely need to log off on this. I'm melting. Several of the dealers in the area do have the rental programs through Harley, and there's a couple. I'm sorry, there's lizard. Here in the Philippines, it's not squirrel, it's lizard, and there's a little tuco, tiki, going up the screen. So I got distracted. But there's a couple of rental companies that rent cruiser type tour bikes. They're not Harley in the Phoenix area. So I may do that. Now, David, you're talking about the Tricicats, the pedal bikes. I've done one here in the neighborhood a couple times. I tip the guy really well, and I do it partly to build community better and to employ them doing stuff. But yeah, David, your comment actually got held. That and I did too, and that's part of the reason why I tip quite well. One time we took them down to that food place at the Lorong station, where Cindy likes to get the fried fish. And not only did I pay about double what he asked, I actually bought him lunch there too. So I will agree that has got to be I don't want to say degrading, but it's a hard way to make a living. But so is being a truck driver. So is being a laborer on a construction site here. So is being a lot of different things here. And yesterday, we were going into one of the drugstores, one of the pharmacies that I stayed outside because it was a smaller pharmacy. And I was talking with the parking attendant, the guy that did that, and him and I got talking about it. And he says on a good day, he makes about 400 pesos a day. I gave him a pretty decent tip, and Cindy didn't know, but I flipped him a pack of cigarettes too. That's about 300 pesos. I would rather give the guy, food or something like that, as opposed to giving him the 300-400 pesos.
But I try to give them something I know they're going to use or appreciate. We've given different people like umbrella. We gave a cab driver a huge meal that he made comment he was going to take one last fare before going home, and trying to get food for on the way home for the family. And we asked him to hang out at a restaurant we were going to. Our intent was to get a different cab on the way back, but we asked him if we made, if he would be willing to hang out, and that way we didn't have to get a cab. And the reason we asked him to hang out is we bought a big family meal for him. And then as he dropped us off at our final destination, we just handed him a huge sack of food for him and his family. There was one other time that a cab driver, he didn't do it as a sob story. We were actually talking with him, and it was kind of a longer ride that we were on with him, so we had a while to talk. And he was stereotypical Filipino. He was real talkative, and he made comment that his daughter was sick and that they needed to get into a hospital because of the current situation. This was back in November, I believe. It was not too long after we got here. And because of the current situation, which was a little bit stronger lockdown, that they just weren't able to get in and prepay for everything. And it was only going to be like 800-900 pesos or something like that. But well, we just gave him 1,000 peso tip for the drive to give his daughter, medical care. And so we don't do stuff like that very often. Now, there's been a few times that, like going to Julie's, I'll get like a dozen pound of salt or stuff like that, and just hand them to the people. Here, share. Going down to that wrong station, there's been a couple times that I've gotten, 3-4 pieces of chicken and stuff, and just handed it to whomever opened the gate. Here's for you or your family. I much prefer giving food or items like that. There was one time it was stupid hot, and it had been raining off and on that day, and I parked the bike and was doing something and went into a 7-Eleven just before I got back on the bike, and they had a really cheap umbrella. It was an inexpensive umbrella. I don't want to say cheap and make it sound different than it should be. It looked to be a fairly decent quality, but just inexpensive. And so I bought the umbrella and gave it to the attendant. And it was a small one that he could throw in, his shoulder bag. And Daniel, this guy was more for the cars. He was helping cars get in and out because you had to back out of it, and it was stereotypical parking here. That it was kind of an angled in spot that you had to back out into the lane of oncoming traffic on a major street. And so he helped guide you in and keep everybody parked pretty tight, so that he'd max out the amount of people in there, and then would stop traffic and help you back out. But there were a couple scooters over there that he had 4 or 5 pieces of cardboard that he'd do that too. So it was one of those guys that kind of dealt with a little bit of both. And I got talking with him that, back in the States, that wouldn't even be allowed, and that style of parking wouldn't be allowed. That businesses had to provide so much parking, enough parking for realistically everybody that's going to be in there. And so, trying to find work like that it isn't realistic or practical or technically even possible. Now, I've done, David, I've done that a ton. Had water or even grabbed one of the guys off the street and bought 5-6 waters and passed them out to people. And that's something I'll do back in Phoenix a little bit. As I don't mind giving out water, but anything more than water in Phoenix, I have a little bit of an issue because just different culture. But I notice it's been well over an hour. I'm at an hour and 15 today. And as you can see, I'm starting to melt here. I truly appreciate you guys showing up, especially you guys that do come in for a little bit longer on these. And tomorrow I'm going to do a walking live stream. The original intent was to go down to Wilcon and Talisai, but that's far enough away, especially with having 11 o'clock reservations to go out, that I'm not entirely sure I want to go that far away. There is an area down in Capitol Site that I kind of like to explore on live stream, but I'm not sure how the signal is going to be. So I may give that a try and see what the signal is like and just go down in that way. But for today, from where am I? Sing Song Village, from Toe Chip Compound in Sing Song Village, Guadalupe, Cebu City. Mabuhay.